Okay.
Right, I will call the meeting to order. The business is the Pledge of Allegiance. And try to remember the order and we're gonna start. You're gonna turn doing it. That makes sense? So tonight, no, we're not all gonna do it tonight. Sorry, that wasn't very clear.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, our next order of business is swearing in of our newly elected board members. And do I have that script in here?
No, but Tom and Aaron have it.
You?
I think-
have it, yay.
I think they
okay.
can just read it. I don't know if they need to
We
repeat.
don't have to do the whole, that would be great if you don't mind not doing the whole repeat after me. Because last time I did it,
Get
I messed
awkward.
up 4 or 5 words and everybody else was perfect, so.
Yeah, it's not, I'm happy to read it out. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll start with you, thank you.
I, Erin McMullen, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Oregon and the laws thereof, and the policies of the Paloma School District. During my term, I will faithfully and impartially discharge the responsibilities of the office of school board member to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have it right in front of me.
Oh, you do.
Oh, it's right here.
right there.
Okay, okay. I'm just logging out. All right. I, Tom Gupfeld, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Oregon and the laws thereof, and the policies of the Paloma School District. During my term, I will faithfully and impartially discharge the responsibilities of the office of school board member to the best of my ability.
Great. Fantastic. Now we are dialing in the school board member.
Oh, so you need to swear in before?
Do I?
Your term ended. You're starting a new term.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Should I do it?
Oh, sure.
Just to be
Past
safe.
viewers,
Just
just
be
in
safe.
case, I agree with that, okay.
We talked about that a little bit, but
I don't know if I do a hand up, I'll do a hand up. I, Erin Gudge, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Oregon, and the laws thereof, and the policies of the Paloma School District. During my term, I will faithfully and impartially discharge the responsibilities of the office of school board member to the best of my ability.
hooray.
And we are dialing a board member right now.
Oh, friend.
Okay, Ryan.
You are on speakerphone.
Okay, hello. So
Don't wreck the tractor.
Thank you for joining us remotely. We are about to move on to the election of board officers for 2025-2026. And I have a piece of paper here. Should we need it?
Just right?
Yeah.
Yes, we will now take nominations for board chair. Nominations do not require a second. Are there any nominations?
I have one.
Yes,
I
Sandy.
would like to nominate Aaron as board chair. Aaron Judge, sorry, Aaron Judge. Aaron's over here.
Things are going to get
Yes,
confusing.
Aaron Judge, I'm sorry, we have 2 Aarons now.
Okay,
If you need a second, I'll second.
okay. Are there
If you
any,
need a second for nomination,
Not yet.
okay.
are there any further nominations? Okay, hearing none, nominations are now closed. We will now vote by roll call. As your name is called, please state the nominee you wish to vote for. And I'm gonna go in order.
I'd like to ask questions.
Okay.
Of our,
Absolutely.
so what exactly, are you looking to bring to the chair role? How will you act as chair? What are some of your approaches and priorities for managing the board?
Can I get them one at a time?
Yeah, oh, of course, it was just a general question.
Just a general
Yeah,
question.
looking for you.
One of my priorities that, or goals, is to, and I want to say this in the gentlest, kindest way, but professionalize some of the meetings and streamline them a bit so that we have a working meeting and a business meeting, to respect the audience members' time. My hope is that we will actually have possibly additional meetings or adjourn, move into a different session and come back. That's one of the things. But just with any component of being on the school board, my priorities are always students, staff, and our community, well-being in general. And just making sure things run smoothly and we stick to our timelines and things that we agree to as a board on the whole. I feel like there was another question that you had asked that I didn't touch upon, so if there was something that you wanted.
But, that's great. You know, obviously the vast majority of our work gets done in these meetings. So, you know, what's your approach and philosophy for how you will organize these meetings, plan for these meetings, set the agendas, et cetera?
Absolutely, so I touched on it very briefly around the business meeting versus the work
yes.
session.
Right.
And I had attended an OSBA training about a month and a half ago now, I believe, where that was one of the central thoughts around it was having a work session at whatever cadence we see fit. Right now, we have a couple a year, and I don't think that that is enough to get the business done in a quick and, quick isn't the goal, but an effective business meeting. Sometimes we get led astray by our conversations and we forget to come back. So having those separate work sessions where we can really ask questions of people, if somebody has a report to the board, they're able to do that in a work session. So we can have more of an interactive question and answer. And then the decisions would be made in that business session and the votes would happen in the business session. And I think that's important. I think bringing things to the agenda when they are pertinent to the business of the board is going to be important, and when they are not under the purview of the board, when they're outside of our locus of control, then they shouldn't be part of the board meeting agenda, but they could potentially be a part of a work session where we can have conversations about it, get updates or input from various parties. Yeah, I think those are the big items.
Great, and then if I can make a specific request and get you to, so. One of my concerns is, from past experience, is these meetings can very easily become, with all due respect to our superintendent, the superintendent's agenda, which obviously, first of all, there's obviously just, legal things we have to take care of. We have to pass the budget, we have to approve contracts, all those kind of things, right? So those are non-negotiables. Susan's gonna put those on the agenda. But, I've been in that situation where the superintendent drives the entire agenda, and what the board wants to accomplish or feels the community wants to accomplish on their behalf doesn't happen because it becomes the superintendent's agenda. So my hope would be, as chair, that you're meeting on a regular basis with the superintendent to set an agenda that obviously makes sure we handle the absolute minimum, the legal stuff we have to deal with, and priorities of the superintendent, but also priorities of the board. So that would be
Absolutely.
my agree.
Yes, absolutely. And at any time people, if they would like to request something be added to the agenda, I am open to that.
But I think that's been a regular part of the agenda, I've noticed.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the end of every meeting, we do that, but also, in between, if something comes up, I'm pretty responsive to email. And in addition to that, we are working on strategic planning, so I think a lot of the work of that strategic planning will also arrive at our board meetings. I think that's very important because that will bring the community voice a lot more readily to the board meetings.
Good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for laying that question out a little differently for me.
Yeah. I probably started too broad. That was always what I wanted to get to. So I take it we're not expecting Ryan. in person.
Ryan is working, he's a farmer
Yes, I know that.
and he's on a tractor right now, so that's,
I don't need to sit.
no, you don't.
No, you can come in.
Come on down.
I've been sent to the corner or something. so- Okay.
Absolutely. Okay, so
And then look, you got the arrow.
I'll say, we'll do a vote by roll call now. Okay, so I'll just go left to right, my left to right. Tom,
Yes. For your appointment. to the board, Jen.
okay, I'm also gonna vote for myself, because if you don't believe in yourself, who's gonna believe in you? Sandy?
I vote for Aaron Gudge.
Oh, sorry, I skipped Ryan.
Ryan,
Yeah, I'll vote for Aaron.
Gudge, okay.
And Aaron.
I will vote yes for Aaron Gudge.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and now we will take nominations for board vice chair. Are there any nominations? Yes, Sandy.
Because of his previous experience on the board, I nominate Tom as vice chair.
Okay, are there any other nominations?
Nope.
Are there any? That was beautiful. Are there any questions? Is this something you would like to do? Okay. Then we'll take a vote again, and we'll start with you again. You can vote for yourself first.
Sure.
Yes, okay. I also vote yes for Tom Clipwell.
I vote yes for Tom, Ryan.
Yes for Tom.
Yes, I will pick on to be the vice chair.
Thank you all.
All right,
Okay.
well, and that's that. Thank
Okay, Ryan,
you.
your work is done. Get out.
Thanks, Ryan. Stay
Thank
safe.
you. Bye.
That little at the end, I think he had started the tractor back up. Okay, thank you all. Moving on to the approval of the consent agenda.
I have a question on that,
Yes.
so I have to look it up. I'm sorry. Sorry, this is gonna take a minute.
No problem.
I can tell you what it is. Not word for word. On one of those, it is our newspaper representative is Gazette Times.
I have
Yeah.
the exact same question.
We all
We
had the same
voted on
question, I
Willamette
believe.
News last year.
So, as the law is written currently, and Michelle, please correct me if I misspeak, or
correct.
anyone, please correct me if I misspeak. The way the law is written, it requires it to be a newspaper that is physically published, that is printed. If it is a digital newspaper, it has to be behind a paywall. And as we know, the Philomath News has chosen not to put their news behind a paywall, which I won't editorialize how I feel about that, other than. So the Gazette Times has to be our paper of record right now. I will say, if that law changes.
Well, they had two bills in the legislative session, neither of which went through to be able to make that change. And, we still will publicize all of our notices through the Philomath News because that's the way our community gets the information.
Right.
So even though we have an obligation right now to list the Gazette Times and post in the Gazette Times as our newspaper of record, we will not stop posting in the Philomath News in order to be able to make sure that all of our constituents get the information.
Okay.
Thank you. I believe that was the same question most of us.
Oh,
had.
right.
And can I just clarify that both of those statements Aaron made are accurate, that one, it'll be printed, which that I think I did know, because I think I saw this, must have been OSD or something about this legislation. But is it also true it has to be behind a paywall?
Yes.
That's the one that's really crazy. But I guess you're trying to avoid some podcaster or something from being our official.
Yes, there was a question about whether blogs were considered a news source, and that was why
Yeah, okay.
the question had come up, which obviously is not the case here in Philomath, but the law has to be updated for that.
Yeah, we did have the Philomath News on there first and then looked up the bills, and when we saw that neither one of them went through, it was like, darn it.
Yes, very frustrating. If there's no further discussion, I'm open to a motion.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Sandy, are you in favor? I'm assuming.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Taking notes and voting and reading of something.
To expedite on a thing like a consent agenda, you can just say any objections to the motion. If there are none, that it's, you can send that back.
I like that.
I wouldn't do that on more formal things like policies or hiring, but on a consent agenda. Sure.
Appreciate that. So that did pass.
Yeah.
4 to with 1 absence. And that brings us to any requests for agenda modifications. And I have one, which is adding public comment to the agenda. That was a new software error that will be addressed at the next meeting, but anyone else has any modifications? So we'll add it, and we know that the numbering's a little bit off, so we're gonna add it right now to B is the second 2,
Yeah.
or the second 3, excuse me.
B6,
And
I think.
once the minutes are published, that will be rectified. Michelle has already figured out everything in the system to fix that. So I believe we do have a public comment. Thank you so much. And if Van Decker would like to come up and speak to us, you're welcome to sit here or stay at your seat, whatever you're more comfortable with.
I'm Van Decker, live on Decker Road. And I'm representing myself, which we have a Decker Tree Farm. That's been there for 100 years. And I represent B&G Logging, the big blue white shop down at the other end of town. And Wren Hill Sawmill, up on top of the Wren Hill. And I didn't go to school here, I went to Corrales High. And I've been in agriculture most all my life. And I've hired several kids when they were in school here, some before they even got to high school, to do day labor things at my place. And B&G Logging and Wren Hill Timber hires several men now who went through the forester program here. Simon Babcock worked for me when he was in high school. We've seen a need for workers that come to our logging and milling operation and that get some work ethic development here at school, which is really helpful. One of our heads men running the main saw at the mill is a boy that got stayed home from school for a while because he had a pocket knife in his pocket or something. And he runs a $3 million saw now that is the main focus of our sawmill. And he sits there with 2 tables of buttons, electronics, and a whole bunch of TV screens that he watches, doing an outstanding job. And it's great to see these guys develop. And I've heard comments that there may be some changes, forestry program. If there is, I'd like to know about it. Another thing I'm very involved in, the piece of ground that was given by Emery Castle to the Falmouth Community Foundation. I was very instrumental in getting that done. Emery Castle was one of my professors in college. When I came back here from the Army, I went and logged for him 3 times. Finally, I told him, I said, it's getting up in years, 19. He'd always been involved with rural agriculture and for his whole life. And so I talked to him about what they were doing over here in the forestry program. I brought him over here and showed him. And he ended up giving that piece of 20-acre ground to the foundation and community foundation. And it's used as a land lab for students. I just appreciates the opportunity to talk to you about it. If there's some things coming from the state or something. The forest industry here would be very supportive to speak for anything that need to be done. The Rex Clemens, I worked for Rex right after I got out of high school. A long time ago. It's, if I can help you in any way with the forestry program, I'm glad to do it. And our company, B&G Logging, is owned by my cousin's son. And I represent him on doing a lot of things. And the timber industry as a whole really supports this program. And would like an opportunity to speak up anytime we should.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, sir. I appreciate your
Any
time.
questions?
Hi, Dan.
You're Stacy's mom.
I am. I lost my identity the day I gave birth. I'm Stacy's mom. I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you. It's been a long time. Can you tell me where the Emery Castle donated property is, the 20 acres?
By where the horseshoe pits are on the road going to Kings Valley,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, great.
right on the left side of the road, there's a green gate, a
okay.
little sign. Right there.
The intention was to donate it to Philomath High School, the Philomath School District, right? But there are legal complications, whatever, and it made it more expedient to do it through the Benton Community. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you so much.
But it was intended for the benefit of the Philomath School District, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment, Madam Chair, just?
Oh, yes,
Some
please.
things that I. Thank you, Van, I appreciate that. And what I've heard secondhand in the scuttle is that people are concerned the forestry program is going to be cut. The forestry program is not going to be cut.
Well,
It's not the intent to cut the program. In fact, if anything, we want to reinvigorate the program. And so having conversations with people like yourself would be greatly appreciated.
and as you know, Philomath is a pretty strong forestry. town.
Absolutely.
And if we can do anything from the forest industry to help the school strengthen
Yes,
the forestry program, we'd be glad to.
and I appreciate that, and I've got everything written down so that I can reach out and get in touch.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
We
you.
used to
Dan.
have there used to be an industry advisory group for the forestry program.
Yeah,
And there still
You
is.
still, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's part of requirement for all any CTE program. Then it's gotta have an industry, populated advisory. group.
So when the potential is for you to get involved in that, you can talk with Susan.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Very much.
Thank you, man.
So
I can
much.
see you.
I appreciate your time and your heart.
Well. It goes back a long ways.
I'm a logger's daughter, I get it.
Oh, many people in Philomath are.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Van.
Anytime the timber industry could help you out on some. Contacts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on from public comment to reports, we have, no student government report, obviously. We don't have student government right now, nor should we, right? So we have superintendent's report. I don't see PEA or OSEA
No.
here, so
We didn't.
pause in July for that. Okay.
Just representatives, can I just ask the student, school board representative member, whatever we'll call
Mhm.
it, do we have one? I didn't follow the last meeting where you said we were looking at when we would appoint.
Right, and we were too late
Yeah.
into the spring.
So the girl we
To
had
be able
last
to get
time
the
was
appointment.
previous.
Yeah,
Yes. okay.
and we actually had, co-representatives. And so, between the two of them, they also said, let's go for it early in September and.
Okay. So we don't have one now.
So we don't have one right now.
Okay, thank you.
And in the past, we haven't asked them to come to the summer meetings, even when we have them, like. I asked. See children for the summer.
You're kidding me, Mom.
So yes, in September, we'll pick that process up and I don't know, maybe we'll see some familiar faces.
Never know.
Okay, Susan, superintendent's report.
Yeah, I don't wanna, y'all got it in time to be able to read the information. And so it was nice to highlight quite a healthy bunch of graduates that we had at all three schools. And so really appreciated those opportunities. I've talked about summer learning before. The only reminder is that lunch at Clemens Primary School is happening each weekday through the summer. Strategic planning will continue and we'll do more in August, and that will be our work session that we're planning. That will be a topic of conversation for that. The couple of things that I wanted to really just touch on, and they'll keep coming back because we don't know all the information. We do know that the state school fund budget of 11.36 billion was signed by the governor, and so we know that that's done. We have some question right now about the Student Investment Account and the High School Success Act at the state level, that our allocations may decrease some. We don't know what that sum is right now. We don't think it's gonna gut everything out of it, but we're kind of waiting to hear what that looks like.
On this, so the 11.36 billion, was that what the
State
budget?
school fund,
Yeah, was that what the budget, our budget was based on that number?
Yeah, yeah.
But I imagine, well, the student investment and the high school success money, what we base it on may not be what we finally get.
right.
So that may require some adjustments. Okay.
Yeah, so, that's what we look at. The PERS unfunded liability relief, cut our net contribution rates by 1.68% for this biennium, which is, anything helps when you're talking about PERS liability.
Can I ask what are we going from and to?
I don't know the exact rates off the top of my head, but we were close to 30% for tier 1, tier 2 altogether. And so it's dropped down to 28%, and OPSRP is about 25%. All the total contribution. So I think that 1.68% saved us about 200,000 for the year, but I had built that into the budget already. Yeah.
One of the things that did pass is Senate Bill 916, which allows public employees to striking public employees to receive unemployment. So that has gone through. Famous last words. I don't know that I feel good about where we are right now in terms of our bargaining, and hope to everything, that we don't end up in that kind of a situation. But we have some concerned districts that are fearful that people will settle quickly to avoid paying unemployment for a strike. And will they agree to some contracts that they can't really afford? And so it's just gonna be an interesting one to watch. We were watching the special education percentage cap and the high cost disability. Those two did not move forward. So wanted to make you aware of that. And the Senate Bill 437 and House Bill 3431 were the two about the public meeting notice in newspapers. So the other one I wanted to make you aware of was the federal funding updates. And this is something that we just got last Friday. Right? No. Friday was the 4th. We got it Wednesday. That we're not sure about some of our federal funding if we'll get it. So for us, we get money in Title I-A, which is basic programs, and we use it for our TII primarily. That money is good for the 25-26 year. We do not get Title I-D or McKinney-Vento specifically, and we get our Perkins CTE money through a consortium. Those funds have been given to all districts preliminary allocations. There have been no award notices to the state for Title I-C, which is migrant ed. We haven't had a migrant student in our district for a very long time. Most of what were migrants back 10, 15 years ago have chosen to stay. They no longer qualify in that. But you're looking at Willamette ESD, who gets over $1 million in migrant education funding, and they don't know if they'll have any coming this year. For Title II-A is a teacher quality. We only get the $33,359. That was what we got last year. There are no notices for that, and so we can't anticipate that will come to us this year. For Title III, the English learners, that is a consortium with Lane ESD. That we have a staff person that interacts with that group that gets together, but it's not like we're paying staff or it's more professional learning support for our own staff. Is what we would lose there. Title IV-A is a, I don't even remember what the name of it is. It's a, it's designed to look at equalizing access for students in some different things. And you can be creative. So we've done musical instruments for students to be able to check out, to take away the discrepancy of those kids who don't have instruments or can't afford to rent them, can still be in band. We did some things for some fitness equipment to be able to add access. I mean, there's just a couple of different things. We've done some technology and some different things like that. That's only just under $16,000. We don't get any 21st Century Community Learning Center money or the rural or low income money. But what we're doing is watching those. It's not going to hurt us badly in 25, 26 in those areas where there's no award notices. All bets are off for 26, 27. We have no idea. But there are some districts right now who get 21st Century Community Learning Center money that they don't know if they're going to be able to do their after school program starting in September. So, I mean, there are some people that are really in a world of hurt, and we may not know any of those allocations until September 30th. So, we're watching that real close. The other one that we'll get back to is, you probably have heard by now that our governor, who also is the state superintendent of public instruction, put forward an executive order to ban cell phones in schools bell to bell, including lunch and breaks. The House bill did not go anywhere in the legislative session, and she signed an executive order July 2nd. I will be in a meeting this Thursday with the Department of Ed, who will be writing the rule around that. And so we'll get some of the nuances. And so before we dove in and said, well, we have to buy this and we have to do this and we have to, we're just going to take in our time to be able to make sure we do it the right way. And not, commit to unnecessary funding if we don't have to have little pouches for everybody to put their phones in and things like that. That we're just going to be thoughtful. We'll follow the law, but we're going to be thoughtful and stay on top of that. But just wanted to make sure that there was an awareness there. The other, yeah.
Is it that they are not allowed to have a cell phone in the building, or they just are not allowed to access them?
They are not allowed to access them is what our belief is right now.
So if they have it in their pocket or their backpack, never pull it out, that's not our problem.
Yeah, and that's kind of where the leaning has been, but we want to make sure that what the interpretation is of the Department of Ed that writes the rule is what we hope it will be. Because if they write the rule that says cell phones shall not be on a person, then we've set ourselves up for
That's a nightmare.
yeah. But I mean, we've had a lot of our community members, when we surveyed, said I kind of like the idea that cell phones aren't used during instructional time, but please don't take it off my child's person. And that was something that came through pretty strong in our surveys. So it's out there, we're working on it, but we're not gonna go too fast to catch ourselves in the crosshairs of something. The rest of the information is just the start of the year scheduling, just to be able to know when the days are of things that are going to happen. And then it's always the important dates to remember. So that's the quick run. So if anybody's got questions, I'm happy to answer.
I know we just talked about the last meeting when I was sitting out there, but I don't see it on there. We help host the welcome back lunch. I just want to make sure I get that on my calendar.
It will be,
I don't think I saw it on.
it'll be on Wednesday, the 27th.
Okay. Oh, there it is. right
And
there.
so it's the noon barbecue
Nice.
lunch.
Yep, I skimmed right past it somehow. Okay,
Right,
perfect.
and Sandy, I think you and Ryan, Mary, I think gave you the financial information.
And me.
Yes.
And you, okay.
Yeah,
And so, and I have a copy of the donation letter if we need to be able to use it more. And so we could do some final planning, at our August, meeting. Rick already did reserve the barbecue, so we've
Oh,
got
great.
that taken care of.
great,
So we've got some different, pieces and parts.
right, yeah, we'll need to do the order and place it and get it.
Yeah, there wasn't enough. Nearly enough left over from last year and the fund to pay for this year. So,
What's been the total budget roughly?
I think it was somewhere around $700 last year, and they were thinking with the increase, was it
Yeah.
$750, but I might be off, it might be
I think
800.
that's right, yeah, somewhere in there.
It was under
And
a
then
thousand.
also- it was
that's why I
under
ran it.
1,000.
Yes, under 1,000, and Sandy brings the most exquisite cookie
Yeah.
on the planet as well,
And
which we don't pay for because she donates her time.
And it is here. So,
Yes.
yeah, so what we do is
In
we
the
put
kitchen, or,
the barbecue is out back behind the kitchen. And then we just set up in the hallway out here, with serving tables and things like that. The other thing as a reminder to each of you is when we start back on August 26th, we'll start with our all district breakfast. And
Okay.
you are welcome to be able to join us, for that on Tuesday, the 26th.
What time would that be?
We'll start gathering in about 7:30 and start to eat about 7:45.
And just again to calibrate, the welcome back barbecue between hot dogs and filet mignon, where are we in the?
We're hot dogs and hamburgers and
Okay,
veggie burgers.
that's
oh, yes.
Veggie burgers are very.
No filet mignon.
Yeah, we just one year
Oh,
did it
really?
very, very cheap at the former superintendent drove it and it didn't come across great, so that's.
We've been pretty pleased.
They've been really
Yeah, well, that's
pleased with the
good.
way that it's worked, so that's been good.
Great turn.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Moving on to strategy and discussion. Our first item is setting our date for our board work session in August. Well, I assume August, but I suppose it doesn't have to be August.
What's do we have a focus area for that work session? As of yet, or is that what that?
In the past, it has been a time for us to set some board goals. I'm hesitant to say for sure that we'll do that because of the strategic planning timing. I think that might be up in the air, but that is one of the things we do. As well as when we have the same board members reflect on our successes and learning opportunities from the previous year, which I personally think is fantastic to get fresh eyes on that. That's where good growth happens. And then, we also make sure that we have our annual calendar of what we do at each of the separate meetings, sort of outlined. Things always come up that we don't expect, but that allows us to know if we need to shift any of our meetings to a different week because of, mandated deadlines for certain actions to be taken.
Sure.
Et cetera.
What is the strategic planning from this point moving forward? Do we have kind of a date timeline for that?
We have to get with Vince to be able to set up another meeting in August.
I did send him an email
Thank you.
and threw out the date.
He, I'm behind in my email. He was to send, the portrait of a graduate information, as well as the goal statements that we will be able to look at. And, he and I are kind of cross-talking about implementation. And he said OSBA can help write and frame the document. But it's really incumbent on us and our leadership to be able to make sure that we make that plan actionable. He said that's really not OSBA's role. And so that's one of the reasons too that I've had the administrators very involved in the process to be able to make sure that we can follow through with a lot of the implementation components of it. So it'll probably take us till June to be able to really land on the full array. That's kind of what we scoped out.
June, did you say June?
Yep. to be able to look at action steps and all those kinds of pieces. So
But we're in July, and then, I'm sorry, like.
we're gonna go throughout the
Oh,
year
oh,
to be able to make sure that we have a finished product,
oh,
but we'll be working on
I see.
pieces of it.
Okay,
all
I
the
thought
way through.
I thought this was strategic plan for next year, it's a much longer.
Yeah,
horizon.
right,
yeah.
Thank you. But, I mean. What I would want to see for sure is, obviously, the staff that are the experts should be generating within from the community surveys we saw and all that, you know, what they think the priorities are, what they want to see. But then there's the board, we might have a couple of our own,
Absolutely.
and those should be fully integrated, right?
Yes.
So both sources should help us create a long-term strategic.
I agree.
Okay.
Agree fully.
Yeah.
And I'm anxious when we get back into the school year starting, being able to have some focused listening from people in the community, inclusive of students. But have our staff back to be able to be inclusive in that way.
Was that in C?
Everyone on board with us setting a date in August for
Yep.
our work session? Okay, so, just a reminder for those who are able to attend, we do have the OSBA Summer Board Conference. August, I think, 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Let's do it up in Portland.
It's in Salem. Yeah, so it's actually pretty convenient. And we can make sure you have the email with the information.
Yeah, it's one of the emails I have not yet processed on
Yeah.
that one. I just
You
today,
just now got sworn in. It's fine.
and I just got my own email set up, thanks to.
Oh,
I put it off and then my password expired, but Michelle saved me today, so I'm in, and I haven't processed all of them yet, so I got this getting ready for this meeting. Anyway, yes, thanks.
So we also have, at least a couple of dates of licensed bargaining. But other than that, not much in the way of interference on my end, at least.
Can we do this, does anyone already know they're going to the conference?
I will be going to the conference.
Here, okay, yeah. And yeah, I confess, I didn't go for my first many years on the board and then went to the last couple, and I was pleasantly surprised at how informative and helpful they were, so, but anyway, so I'll have to look and see, but that would be,
And it would be nice to bring back the learnings from that conference to inform some of our work session possibly. So as it sits right now, our regularly scheduled school board meeting would be August 14th. Now, we have on the agenda right after this that we may change that, but
So the second Tuesday. Or
current-
second
second
Thursday.
Thursday currently. But if it would work on anyone's calendar to meet earlier in the day before our regular board meeting, we could also do that for our work session.
I wonder,
And Ryan already let me know he will not be able to attend our August meeting.
and mine is, I don't know,
Okay.
but I've got it on my calendar.
When, what is the duration that we're talking about for a work session?
This particular work session often runs like 2.5 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
We could probably streamline it if we need to and hold 2 separate ones, or I know summers are hard for a lot of, those of us foreseeable. Who have like daylight, I don't know what that is, that you have, that you need to do your jobs. So I'm very flexible, we can be very flexible.
I'm sorry, updating the calendar, that, how many hours did you say?
The last several have been about 3
Yeah,
hours.
yes, thank you. That's what, like 3 to
And there's
4
also a
hours.
little bit of board governance education, some components of that, not intensely, but just reminders about certain things. So I'm open to almost any date in August, other than the aforementioned board weekend.
Yeah, the end of August, like the 20th, and then into next week, I'm thinking I'm out of town, so we can do it.
Before the
early.
20th?
That'd be great.
Okay,
I mean, that 14th would work for me. That's what you. if we-
what time is easy for you to start?
Really, anytime after noon is best for me.
Okay,
If we could do like an afternoon session, that would be,
When it's 95 degrees. and you
yeah,
don't
I would
get
love to be in
working
the air
flowers,
conditioning.
yes.
I think,
Yes,
at 3 o'clock in
okay.
the afternoon.
Sandy, tentatively would that day work for you?
The same
If
day
we
as our
started-
regular board meeting.
If we started at, say,
Do we prefer that to, be 6 hours in board meetings that day, or would we rather split it across, do it on Tuesday or something? I'm just throwing that out. there.
Yeah, I wondered about that too, because that makes for a long day.
Yeah.
Tuesday we have bargaining,
Oh, bargaining, yes, we do.
but well, yeah. that
Okay.
unless we met after 6, but.
Or Monday,
But
or
there's
Wednesday,
another
any
long
other,
meeting.
any other day. Again, that's just a thought. If we wanna do it on Thursday, that's fine, but if we wanna. Not
could
have 6 hours.
Do 6:30 on Tuesday. And that would give us a break in between bargaining and the board meeting.
I am out of town that Tuesday.
Okay,
Like the only day that I'm.
all right. We've got the 13th. Does that work? That
That
Wednesday?
13th is open for me.
Okay,
It would,
what time would we like to start?
can we do, if we're talking 3 hours, can we do 2 o'clock? Or 1 o'clock? Wednesdays is my Boy Scout night, so if I can avoid going Wednesday, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
What would your cutoff time be for that?
6, and it means it's 6:30 or something, if we do by 6.
If we could do 3 o'clock, I can make that work with my work schedule.
August 13th.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay.
And it'll be here.
okay.
We'll,
So-
probably,
Probably.
we'll make sure
Yes, August 13th, and then we'll,
3 until,
3
And then-
p.m.
6.
3 to 6. Okay. Actually, let's say 3 to 5:30.
I love that. Let's set it.
Well, I'm more inclined for, shorter ones and multiple, just if, rather than, or, I mean, that's fine, one, yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
I think given. people
Things
first-
unravel after a
Yes.
certain amount of time.
Yes,
Okay, so, and then the location will be finalized on the calendar invite. Once that's, the room availability is set. Perfect. As I mentioned before, we have been meeting on the second Thursday of every month. Does that work to continue?
Yeah.
The second Thursday of every month?
because is the 3rd still 4-H for you?
Actually, we've moved to Wednesdays.
The complication that we were running into with meeting on the 3rd is that it was always after the 15th, and a lot of our deadlines with the state for things that we need to take action on are
Were
the
before that.
15th. And so we were having to hold special board meetings before. So we're almost always before the 15th on the 2nd. We would always be before the 15th on the 2nd. I
works for
don't know
me.
if that works. Okay, that works.
If we-
It's tight for budget documents to pull for the board report, but
Mm,
I mean,
I can't be the only driver for the board meeting date though.
what was that?
Oh.
I said I can't be the driver for the board meeting date.
You're talking
You
Monday,
could be if you wanted.
what do we, exactly, what are we, what reports are we talking about here?
Oh, just the board financial report.
The Sun Fan.
Yeah, just to get them into the
The
board packet.
Yeah,
It's hard to have it a week early, but
well, okay.
we'll
but
do what we
then
can.
The third week is another option.
But then we run out.
Yeah.
But then you run
15th,
into,
that's-
yeah.
Okay. All right, Jennifer, you want to get screwed.
Okay, moving on to board liaison roles, they were in the packet, I do have a printed copy. Also, we do not have to determine this evening, we can determine these at our work session. But it would be lovely if we, could kick that off. And the names that are listed in here, pretend that they're all blank, because we're starting fresh. Does anyone have a strong affinity for a particular school that they would like to be the liaison to? Yes,
I would like to be the liaison for Clemens, please.
okay. I'm fine with that.
That's fun.
I've definitely been threatened after school. No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
No, Sandy has a beautiful working relationship there, and I'd love to see that continue.
Thank you.
I would love to work with the high school. I wanted to do that last year and it didn't work out, but if somebody else also wants to work with the high school, I would be fine. Okay.
I live across the street from the elementary school, so that would be convenient for me unless someone else wants that one.
Okay. That works for me. So that leaves, and with the elementary school, that's also.
You kind of get logic
Logic.
like old,
Yeah,
That one I do not live across the street from, so.
no,
No,
that would be a really.
but the person who
weird
worked
thing.
out
I
there
kind of do.
lives across the street from you, so.
Yeah. And then, so we have the academy and the middle school left, and
I would be willing to do the middle school, just because I would be
Well,
mentioned
we-
Steve.
we have, you've got the elementary school.
Right.
We actually have the same number of schools as.
Well, I don't know, I didn't follow.
Oh, okay.
Look, you gotta, yeah, I'm sorry, Aaron, you gotta take mine, I thought we.
Yeah, I'm happy wherever I'm at, so.
Ryan might like the middle school.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
that's
you
great.
can,
I think.
I can hang with them.
it's a really very cool place, the academy. Okay. That's right, because Ryan has middle schooler. At least one.
I was thinking there were 7, there's only 6, and I'm not double up.
Yeah, you got the. We are all members of the budget committee. The next committee would be the Clemens Community Pool Committee, if anyone is interested in joining that. Okay, look at that. That was,
We're gonna close that pool over my dead body, so I will have to
Ooh.
be,
I'll be on the committee with
we
share.
More the merrier.
okay. We have the Equity Committee. Which I have tried to be a part of, but it does fall during the workday, and it's when the meetings happen, and it is intensely difficult for me to continue doing that. So I kind of have to, unfortunately and very sadly, step down from that one.
I would be happy to do that.
We're starting to try and meet Fridays.
Okay. During the school day,
Like
like
the-
in the morning.
We try and do like a 2:30 to 3:30.
Okay, yeah, Fridays. Not bad.
And then we have the Special Education Advisory Committee, which those are evening meetings, I believe, predominantly.
Yeah, they're
So I could,
6:30.
yeah, I could probably do that if no one else wants. to do that. Okay, I'll just swap my name on these. And then, I know Ryan is very passionate about staying on the facility
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah.
We can have others join, up to one other join if anyone else would like to join that. We also have this,
That seems like a safety committee, oh, I see, okay, now I see why there's, why safety committee and facilities seem like a, yeah, but now I see. why.
Yeah,
With
we
the
have-
security, yeah.
we have a couple of safety committees there. Which Sandy and I have kind of traded off or both attended, the second one. The security and threat, which I think could continue.
Yes, absolutely.
The Technology Advisory Committee, we haven't had anyone sit on from the board.
I'm interested in that one.
Very
That's, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like it will be something that will need more time spent in.
Our library media specialist is actually the one who spearheads the meetings. She meets with our technology folks. We've tried to really make sure that our library position is very well coordinated with our technology.
Who is that?
Her name is Rachel Baker.
She's at the elementary school.
That's where her office is,
Yeah.
but she's kind of the whole
Yes. I
shooting
agree.
match. So
Yeah.
You called her the
she's a good one,
library media,
specialist.
I thought that was my wife's title, I thought Rachel's title was actually district librarian.
I,
Oh, yeah, I was thinking.
something like
Okay,
that.
all right,
The
anyway,
book boss.
yeah.
Can I ask a question about the committee? Are they all headed by staff or like this one? So will those staff members be in touch with us?
Yeah,
accordingly?
we'll make sure.
Good.
And then, one update, the PEA had a TBD, but Sandy has stepped into that TBD role. For our
Would you say stepped is a good word?
licensed.
Actually, I think
staff
it's going well. I
negotiations.
really. think
I do
it's going
too.
well.
Yes.
I'm so pleased.
That's
Uh,
great to hear.
And then next year, we will be bargaining with the classified staff. I have sat on that bargaining committee now for one cycle. I'm happy to stay on that. I actually very much enjoy the bargaining process for some strange reason.
I do too. I
if
don't like
someone
doing
else-
that as well.
Okay,
Mhm.
and then, the policy committee, I've been on the policy committee for 4 years now. And I'm happy to continue to serve. My brain works well within policy, but if we have 2 new members who want to join, I would be willing to step back.
I'm great. It's
Okay.
not training.
Do we at least have one other member who wants to step in? Is maybe how I should have
What
worded.
I heard Aaron say is, it would be great if she was up to date, that's what I. The way you were queuing that up, I'd be great too, like, oh, excellent.
I don't want to step on anyone's toes.
But yes, the policy committee obviously, is important work. As far as workload, it's usually 2 hours once a month, sometimes twice a month, but we try for once a month. There are times of the year when we get a flood of new policies, and coming very soon, we will have a flood of new policies based on legislation.
Who else is on that committee? I mean,
It was
Michelle. and-
genuinely, yes, it's a very small committee. We did hear some interest from PEA
We
that they
did.
would like to have a teacher or two join, which is in the setup of the committee. So that might happen this year, which I think would be
I think it'd be
wonderful. Even if it's ad hoc and they come in when it's their subject matter expertise at play.
reluctantly put up my hand at this point. and we'll see.
Okay, well, we can also put a question mark there.
Or you can go ahead and add me for now, and then if it
Okay.
becomes too much, I will let you know.
Okay, thank you. All right.
And I just asked, we have that list of removed liaison roles. When were they removed? How were those decided?
They were actually moved last year because we found that there was natural representation amongst all of these groups by various people throughout the school district, and at one point that wasn't the case, and so the board had stepped in. But these are also a fabulous list of, if you are interested in attending any, that would be great, but that was the main reason why they were removed, is,
Or curiosity.
yeah.
Yeah, they were removed just to take off kind of one more
Yeah.
thing when a lot of people are there, but if there's somebody that attends. Any one of those, or has an interest in them, it's not like they're off the table.
Yep.
From being considered.
Thank you.
Alright, moving on to action items, we have the second reading of policy IKFA and the associated AR. Just as a reminder, we do not have to vote on an AR. But we do include them in the packet so that we can review them and ask any questions that may come up. But we do vote on the policies themselves.
The policy, I really didn't change. And, of course, I don't have my input. Because the principals are all on vacation, so. So the biggest changes really occurred with the AR. That I wanted to be able to put out there. One of the things that we talked about was what about those students who are GED students? And so that was really the biggest add, was to be able to look at eligibility. The criteria to consider, what would the process be for graduating early, and then it moved to GED completion. And so what would be the eligibility, the criteria to consider, and the process for a student looking to opt for a GED. So that was the biggest shift, was being able to put that in there. So not a lot of change other than that. And if we want to wait to get Philomath High School and Philomath Academy input, we can table it until they're back in August. If we want to make sure we've got their input, or we can approve it, whichever you choose to do.
Again, all we're approving is really the policy or something. Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Okay, and open to hearing motion.
I would just, as I read it. Sorry, I'm a nitpicker when it comes to writing. That first sentence in the second paragraph, a student may satisfy graduation requirements in less than 4 years. That seems like what the entire first paragraph is about. I don't know that you need that sentence at all, just strike it, right?
Okay.
Because then it goes right in. The first paragraph says they can do it and they just need to propose a plan, and then the second paragraph says the district will honor that, assuming we, have the parent permission. So,
Done.
unless there's
I think it's
objection.
good.
it's great.
The other thing I noted versus my notes from policy was on the third line, the student and their parents.
Thank you.
So if we can make that edit as well, then I would be open to Any motions in regard to this policy as it now sits on Ms. Halliday's computer?
I would move we adopt policy IKFA with the two. Amendments. Edits.
I have a
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor? Okay, that's four and one absent. And the motion passes. Thank you. Again, we don't have to take any action on the AR, but thank you for the work on that. I know that was a bit of a boiling of an ocean to get it to where it is.
That's right, and we'll, I will put it before, the high school and Fulham Academy, just to see if there's any.
Yeah.
Big hue and cry when they're
Yeah.
saying, what are you thinking? That I make sure that we're on target with that,
Okay,
and I figure I better save it before it all goes away.
moving on to our meeting closing. Does anyone have any requests for additions to the agenda for our next meeting? Which technically is our work session, but this is really more a discussion of our regular session.
So we'll
I will
finalize
send an
luncheon.
email.
Yeah.
Finalize the lunch.
Oh, that's-
Yes, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I will also send out an email with Michelle will send out an email more likely with the agenda for our work session, and at that point, if there's anything to add, please let us know, we'll get it added. I know that that's a squishier agenda than we normally have just for that one particular work session. Okay. Other than our standard, what we do based on our calendar, I don't have any additions.
Mhm.
Let's move on to board thanks.
Let me start.
Yeah, go for it. I just saw your smile and I knew that you had something good. I think everyone in the room knew you had something good.
Well, I just want to thank Tom and Aaron. You know, Tom's done this before. Aaron, you haven't sat on the board before.
But she's been on a board,
Yeah,
Muddy Creek, right? Was it?
Bunny Creek.
yeah. So, yeah, hold on. It'll be a good ride.
Strap yourself in.
Strap yourself in. No, so I want to thank you guys for putting yourselves out there, and I can tell you guys are very dedicated to the cause, so thank you guys
Thank you.
very much. And other than that, I hope our teachers and admin and classified are having a wonderful.
Amen.
Trying to leave everybody alone.
Yeah, right.
Yes, absolutely.
Yay. I just want to say thank you to every staff member who's sitting in this room for your gracious welcome and your like putting up with me and helping me on board. I'm not super technologically advanced and budgets are something that I need a little bit of like hand holding for. So I appreciated all of you taking the time over the last couple of weeks, last months to get me and to all of you sitting board members for welcoming me so graciously. And to everyone who voted for me also.
And right?
Just saying.
It's so humbling, isn't
I
it?
know.
I know.
And specifically, Michelle, thank you for the assistance to get us onboarded.
Yeah, and the
Today.
patience apparently with our password ineptitudes, because I did the same thing you
Yeah,
did, Tom.
Last month was, we just got back from a week of Boy Scout camp and that's been my focus a lot.
Yep.
And I brought back, my goal is always to bring back plus or minus 10% of all the boys I took, and I met that goal.
Yeah.
Was it plus or minus?
Actually, it was dead on this year.
Oh, all right, okay, all right.
That was our goal, when chaperoning the van trip also, it was like, let's get most of everybody
Well, that's
exactly where they're
nice.
supposed to be. Yeah,
We were sharing a campsite at a camp, summer camp one year, and the other troop had left. And this little kid wanders in,
Oh my
12-year-old boy,
gosh.
he was wandering off somewhere, and yep, and they were not in cell phone range, so it was a couple hours before. You know, there's a staff there and all that, so he was gonna be well looked after, but yeah, I've never left anyone behind, and I'm hoping I'll never do it.
No, ever left behind.
well, I want to sort of chime in and add my thanks to Michelle. You've heard it mentioned in passing, but we have a new software system for our board packet, and I would imagine there was quite a learning curve. And from my end, it was really smooth, so thank you. I'm sure that it was not on your end. But I do appreciate the format and the ease of that. Feels a lot easier than what we were using before. And I did notice a cool feature today where we can check and see who has said, yes, they will attend the meeting. But I didn't get the email that let me say that. So yes, I will attend tonight's meeting. But I thought that was a neat feature that we'll figure out how to use in the future.
I'm gonna need your help.
Yeah, I haven't set that up. I just grabbed it off the,
Yeah,
district
website,
page.
yeah.
Where it is also available in Kimberly. Okay, any board requests? Okay, well, hearing no requests, I shall adjourn the meeting.
Nicely done. Thank
Delicately.
you.
Very nice.
Good.
Thank you all so much.
I know there can be those meetings that can easily go on.
Be one meeting.
I'll put it all back in one place. The meeting together,
Yeah, it's.
9:00, and if board feels
Yeah,
that.
I just got
Yeah.
the board in January.
You know, when we agree to extend the meeting 30 days.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're here at 11 o'clock.
Shoot, right.
Well, or whatever, they shoot for the 20th, just pick a time, that's when we're done by, and we can extend, but we have to. It'd be like.
I like that.
That was the Steve Bell, Chad Matthews, is they bet a burrito.